name is George Cattelona. I was in the 5th Marine Division and the 13th Regiment, which was artillery. I was on Iwo Jima for 27 days to 28 days is when we left. I have 4 brothers and 6 sisters. I am the youngest of 11. My older sister was 22 years older than I was. So when I came around, 3 of my sisters were already married just about. And I was sort of the caboose, the last train. When the December the 7th came, I was coming out of church, and that's when we heard about it.
We interrupt this program to bring you a special news bulletin. The Japanese have attacked Pearl Harbor, Hawaii by air, President Roosevelt has just announced. The attack also was made on all naval and military activities on the principal island of Oahu.
You try to think, first of all, where Pearl Harbor was and everything, and what it meant to everybody in the U.S. And it was amazing. They had lines going into the Army, Navy, Marines, everybody. They just wanted to join up and help do what was necessary. And I left there when I was 18, in 1943, to go into the Marines to Parris Island, where all good fellows go east of the Mississippi. Everybody west goes to San Diego, Hollywood. They don't like to be called Hollywood, but we enjoy it. The main reason I went into the Marines was because the training I felt would be better than the Army. And preparation is always best. It was, of course, everybody had a new life from that point on. And you try to do everything exactly like the DI tells you. And so therefore, when you do that, you get along and you don't get any extra duty or anything else. But when you don't do it, they can pile it on like you wouldn't believe.
The U.S. rifle caliber .30 M1, commonly known as the Garand, is not only a dependable weapon, it also has a terrific wallop, better known as firepower.
We spent 2 weeks out at the rifle range, and it was the first time I ever fired a rifle, but I qualified, and I was happy about that. And it was M1s that we were qualifying with, because that target becomes further and further away. You start at 200, and you go all the way back to 300 or 400, I forget what the last one was. And you lay down as well as stand up, and you hold the rifle. Well, my first base was Quantico, Virginia, after boot camp. And I stayed there for 6 to 7 months. And the day we left, there was about 150 of us leaving to help complete the 5th Marine Division. And I remember the first sergeant coming out, giving us a pep talk. And one of the things he said, I always remembered, "You men are going to make history."
Under cover of a savage barrage for warships and rocket-firing craft, the invasion of Iwo Jima begins. The 5th Marine Division, under Major General Keller E. Rocky, takes the northern sector of the shore. Major General Clifton B. Cates' 4th Marine Division takes the southern sector, including Mount Suribachi. On D-Day and H-hour 0900 Tokyo time, February 19th, the assault waves hit simultaneously on the dot. From now on, it's up to the Marines.
Everybody was quiet. That much I remember. Because of one thing, where the boat was taking us. We heard a lot of noise, of course, and see, I landed H-hour +2, and that meant H-hour was 9 o'clock. By 11 o'clock, I was on land. I had a dry landing, didn't get my feet wet. Our coxswain got that Higgins boat right up there and tapped on the volcanic ash. That volcanic ash, you could walk in it, and you sink up to your ankles, and then you run in it, it's over your shoe tops. It was that loose. It doesn't pack like sand. Like they say, it was loose as a goose. I was with the battery executive officer, and we had to find where our guns were going to be placed once they got on Iwo. It was almost all the way across the island, about 300 or 400 yards up from Mount Suribachi. And that's when it starts widening, being wider and wider. And you know, it was only less than 5 miles long, and about 2.5 miles wide. And he had the coordinates on the map, and we would have to go almost to the other side, the west side, to find our coordinates. Battery executive officer and I, we found exactly where the guns were going to be placed, and and they came in about 5 o'clock. You didn't see any Japanese whatsoever because they were all on the ground. And you got to think they had 22,000 underground. And they had all kinds of ways to go back in tunnels and everything else. And since I wasn't doing anything, I'd help on the guns. You did whatever's necessary. Help your buddies out. Because it's no fun picking them projectiles up, 105s, and jamming it in them. You get tired, your arms get tired, you know, and someone has to relieve them. The 105s has a projector, and I think the projector weighs 50 or 60 pounds, something like that. You have to cradle it, and you put it up close to the block, and you jam it in with your right hand, and then the breech is closed. Oh, it just shakes you. And that's why a good number of people that were in service, if they were in the artillery aboard ship, they're deaf as you can be. And that's why this year, I'm lucky if I have 20%. And this year, I got 40% hearing. The first 4 days, I don't know how many rounds we fired, but I know it was a whole bunch of it. And I went up 5 times. The first time was the worst. We had 2 forward observer teams, 16 in all, 8 in each one. And as we're going up, I always felt like they were watching us, because the second we stopped, the next second, a mortar round landed in the midst of us. 1 dead, 10 wounded, and 5 of us walked away out of 16. But we didn't complete our mission because we didn't relieve the forward observer team. So we had to first of all, get corpsmen to tend to the wounded and everything. And after that was all done, we started up. We went through a command post. Now it's a group of Marines getting squads to go here, there, and everywhere, you know, and all like that. But to my right front, there was a Marine that was on the ground, I assumed on the ground. His body, top part of his body was blown to kingdom come. And all you saw looked like a saber saw cut him right in two. I saw it, the radio man saw it, and he screamed and yelled. And I had to yell at him. I said, "Danny, let's move it!" Got him in front of me, and we completed our mission of relieving the forward observer team up there. I can still see it today. I guess it's something that's in your mind and you can't get rid of it. But yeah, it was quite a thing. I was getting my foxhole ready, and I think it was just a hand grenade, but still in all, it had the power. I got a small piece in my left shoulder. Piece went into my helmet, put a hole in my helmet. I could put any one of my fingers in. Turned my helmet completely around. It hurt when it went in there, and it was hot, number two, and it was the hottest metal that you could ever feel. And that's what bothered me more than the wound. I remember the sound and everything, but I tried to put it out of my mind. Second time I went up, we were in sort of like a little gully there, and we wanted to, they had a little mound there, and they wanted to set the forward observer team up there. But as we were going to do that, they would start firing a small howitzer like our 47, and I fired it 2 or 3 times. When the mortar round landed in the midst of us, the canteen on my left hip had about a 4-inch cut across it. And I found out later, too, that my poncho was hanging over my gun belt, hanging down. Shrapnel went through that, too, through my legs, never touched me. So my guardian angels were with me. On the third time we came back, and everybody was eating C rations. We've been eating K rations, and they won't even keep anybody happy or full. The C rations is about a can of Campbell soup, something like that, and you open it. In fact, we had what we call a P-38. It's a little can opener, and you open the can with that, and we dumped it into a helmet. I built a fire and fixed it so that the helmet would stay above the fire, and then we'd heat it up. And we had beef stew, chicken stew, pork and beans, you name it. It was in that pot. About 4 of us, or 5, whatever it was. And all I can say was good going down.
Closing in on Mount Suribachi on Iwo Jima, the 5th United States Marine Division fires on Japanese gun emplacements studding the mountain.
It was on the 5th day, number 1, and they had put up a flag that was one of the commanders of some battalion down there in the infantry. He wanted that flag put up, so they sent it on up, and then they heard that some congressman on one of the battleships, I want that flag. And the commander said, he ain't getting that flag. Go down to the water and get the biggest flag you can off of any ship that you can and tell them what you want. So we got, the guy, the lieutenant went down there and put it up there, and as that was being taken down, the other one was being put up. He said, nobody's getting that flag. And that was the 2nd Battalion of the 28th Regiment that did it. Easy company. Oh, it made you feel good. Yeah. And so we didn't have anybody firing from the back of us. It was all in front of us. In fact, everybody thought the battle was over, just about. But not the guys that were in the front, they knew it wasn't. And that was the 5th day, so you say 31 more days. I was on Iwo Jima for 27 days to 28 days is when we left. And we were happy about getting off the island. When we left the island, we got aboard the Higgins boat and had to go back to the ship, climb back up the ship on the rope ladder, what they used, and boy, it just felt good. The only other thing that I can tell you, most of us did not bathe or shave for 28 days. And we didn't know who smelled the worst or the best. We're just happy that we made it through, those that could or did. It was a tough experience, but you never forget it. Being a Marine is that, first of all, you're lucky because you passed the first test. And that's just the beginning. You have test after test after test as to what you're going through. Not because you're braver than anybody else. That's not it. You are in a unique outfit, and you are the best at what you do. If you know of any vet, tell him to do one thing. Make a recording what he went through for his family, so they have some idea. But you have to also think the amount of history that these men took with them is gone forever. So I always encourage, tell them, make a DVD of your experience, period, so that they can realize what you had to go through. I don't care when it was or where it was at. People do not know. History does not record it. And you take the history in schools today, they barely give 2 weeks of history lessons on World War II. And man, they're missing out. There's so much that we all went through, not just me, everybody. And for every vet that has passed away, there is a story that has never been told. So encourage the vet, if you can do nothing else, still make that DVD for his family.